Okay, change from Michael Jackson. Boy, now there's some change that's got on in a world, mostly his, Anyway, life happens, You deal with change or you don't. It either rolls into your life and you dance with her, or it rolls over you, but the change keeps coming. Look at the world. Look at the government.
Let's not.
The only thing that doesn't change is death and taxes. And death must be a pretty cool place because nobody ever comes back from it, And taxes are there all the time because that's the system we've set up, and you got to dance with that too. So now, look, having a plan for change. How do you plan for change when most people live in a place called, well, it's something changed. I didn't know about it. It wasn't going to happen. How about you having a say in how your life turns out and you create the change? What about that? How about you create the change in how you're in a relationship, who you're being in it, how it works, how much fun you're having in it, how big of a jerk you've been in it. Oh, sorry, Eddie, I'll be good. Anyway, or it's just like, my kids are doing, everything's changing in their life now. There's relationships happening. There's additional education happening. There's, okay, I did everything I was supposed to do. Now what happening? And then there's, I got to be serious about this, or I can't do that, or I'm 21. Let me see now. I've already been to a bar and had a drink. Okay, that's over. I already got my driver's license. Okay, that's over. Oh, gee, is the rest of the world just about this? And the answer to that is no. It's about change and how much you have a say in how it affects you, right, Susan?
Yes.
I mean, how has your life changed, say, just even in the last, 2 hours, 3 hours? Just be with me. It's like, how many times have you said, I'm not doing that ever again, that's it, it's
well,
over.
I just was noticing that this morning, since I didn't know what your schedule was going to be today, except for the radio show.
Yeah.
There was a few changes that I had to jump to about 15 minutes before I was ready to leave. I think we need to change something in how we communicate.
Yeah, and what's and I got to say this out in Radio Land. What's so cool about you, Susan, is no matter what change comes before you, just flow with it. It just gets done, and there's no upset, and there's nothing. I can't do that. It's not, it's not the Clay thing. It's the Susan thing. Yeah, it's really cool.
Thanks.
So just think if the whole world could just cool out and just deal with change in a way that's, shall we say, softer than what they're doing.
A little less than frantic.
Yeah. Like, what would it be like to have a plan, have a clear picture about where you're going to go, and know that change is going to happen, get ready to dance with it? What about that? I mean, cool, huh?
I'm okay with people just being cool. If a glass drops and breaks, you just clean it up.
Yeah. How about that?
Change the course of history.
Yeah, and you get happy, that no one got cut by the broken glass instead of worrying about the darn glass. Yep. You understand? All right, so
Glass doesn't care.
No, glass doesn't care. So tip number 1 is acknowledge that change happens. Tip number 2 is what would it be like to be in charge of change? Actually have a plan for changes or changing, all right? And tip number 3, here you go. Write this one down. Give up the only I can do it syndrome. You have to ask for help to deal with change. That's the dance. That's what's going on. If you knew what was going to happen all the time, you'd be bored. And if you don't know what's happening on time, but change is going to be out there, you can be scared enough to where the hair stands up on your arm and you sit down and you go, I don't want to do this. It's going to change anyway. Or you could be in a place called, okay, things are going pretty good. I'm ready for a change. I don't know what's going to happen, but here we go. What do they call that? You read your every morning.
Horoscope?
Your horoscope. That's all about change. It's telling you this is the possibility for your life today. And most people read the horoscope and they go, that can't be me. I'm too depressed to have it that way.
Yours always turns out to be really fitting of you, and every time I read mine, I'm like, that's not even near.
Well, they just don't know who you are. That's just the way it is. All right, now, so where we are is change is everywhere. It will always be around you, always be around us. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The more visible you are, the more in action you are, the better, bigger, more visible leader you are, things are going to be changing. You ought to be around this radio station for an hour or two. Things change around here at Mach 20. So change comes at us from all different places, whether it's a change in the season, which brings about a change in activities, or a change in relationships, where we live, the job we perform, which brings about changes. Change doesn't happen just to equal, just to have a normal challenge. Change happens because it challenges you, it gets blood flowing, it gets your brain thinking, and quite frankly, it gets you back to choosing how you want your life to be, all right? So don't treat change like it's something that just happens and then you just react to it. Think ahead about changes and ask yourself, what changes are coming up for me personally? Like me. I've gained 6 pounds. I have to change something in my life where I don't gain any more weight, and I'm doing that. I have to change and track what I'm eating. I have to increase my amount of cardiovascular activity. I have to make sure I stay healthy. And then the next one, is there a change in my job that I need to prepare for? Change in responsibilities, more travel, less travel, or how about this? No job. Think about that. Now, there's a change. Now, what changes are coming up for my children and other family members that I need to prepare for? You know, I mean, taking care of parents, that's a major change. You know, we're used to them taking care of themselves, and all of a sudden we end up taking care of them. That's a huge change. It's a huge change in what your commitment is. It's a huge change in your time demand. So you have to write down those changes and write down how you're going to manage them. You have to absolutely get clear about what you need to do and what actions to take, and we have to learn to ask for help. So I ask you, all right, how would you like to have your life work? It can be better or it can be worse. Which do you choose? It's all about choice. Change is about choices in your life. You're listening to Clay Nelson. Join us every Wednesday from 2 to 3 and 10 to 11 on Sundays from 12 to 1. I am Clay Nelson. This is the Clay Nelson Life Balance Hour on KZSB AM 1290 in Santa Barbara. If you wanna